Our guest is Dr. Samson Galadima, who joins us virtually. You're welcome to Business Express Talk.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Right. Could you start by explaining to us how the Iran-Israel crisis is affecting the global economy at the moment?
Well, the crisis is largely not good news because it distorts the global economy, particularly in sectors around crude oil and gas. Iran is a major producer of these items, these commodities, and is also situated in a region that is one of the busiest when it comes to these commodities. So it's not going to just affect that particular region or those countries that are really involved. It's going to reverberate across the world. And if you look at the Strait of Hormuz, where a quarter of crude oil and one third of liquefied natural gas pass through, this will create a major problem for the entire global economy. And then the shivers, whatever this crisis is causing, the shivers that will go down the spines of different economies will tend to make prices of crude oil to go up and prices of oil generally. And when the prices of energy are high, that would also have ripple effect across the economy, and with the cost of living likely going to rise and inflation and so on. So it's largely not good news. I know it has some upsides, but if you look at it on the whole, it's not good news at all for the global economy because of the shocks to the global economy and the disruption of supply chains and so on.
But how or why do commodity prices like crude oil and gold respond so quickly to geopolitical tensions?
All right, they're very volatile in the sense that they're very important, very critical to the global economy. And because of their outsized contribution to economic activity, any form of fear, any form of shock will have impact beyond what it should normally be having. Because, the global economy depends on energy. And the larger chunk of that energy is from that particular region. Assuming the global economy is so diversified that that particular region contributes next to nothing to the entire gamut, that will have next to no impact. But we know how important that region is, and we know sentiments contribute a lot to how people behave, to how market actors behave. It's not just about the fundamentals. Sentiments play a big role in how people behave, and that's why the fear or the fears people had made the prices of crude oil to spike. But thankfully, it seems things are easing with the announcement of the truce. I know it's not final. So one of the two parties may break it, but at least for now, it seems things are easing, and even the prices of crude oil on an international market have largely subsided.
Yeah, petrol pump price increased in Nigeria just yesterday before the announcement of ceasefire by President Trump. Do you see immediate and long-term risks as well as improvements for Nigerian businesses that rely on imported raw materials and equipment?
What the announcement came because the of the international what is happening internationally, particularly the Israel-Iran conflict, the crude or international price of crude oil went up, and that will be reflected on the pump prices of fuel across the world. And Nigeria is not exempted from that. And with the truce now, with the ceasefire, I think if the ceasefire really holds, the pump prices might go back to what they were before the last increase. I know in Abuja it has been increased by 35, particularly for the NMPC, from 915 to 945, and in Lagos from 870 to 915. So it's temporary in the sense that what really pushed the NMPC and other marketers to increase that was because the crude oil price went up. But when the crude prices are down now, prices will largely go back to what they were before the crisis started.
All right. Analysts suggest that a $100 per barrel oil price could add 1% to inflation in advanced economies. And Nigeria's inflation, as we all know, is still relatively high. How might this crisis push up living costs for the ordinary Nigerian? If it's
Well, the increase, the thing is, Nigeria is a major crude producer. So when the prices of crude oil on the international market go up, there are benefits and there are costs. Some of the benefits include higher government revenue. You remember our budget is predicated on crude oil being at 75, and when it was below, we were panicking. So when it climbed, some people started celebrating that at least we even have higher than what we projected because it went as high, it was hovering around 80, and also not only revenue, but foreign exchange earnings and increase our foreign exchange reserves and so on and so forth, and probably stronger than that. But the downside to it is the cost of living, because energy costs will go up, like what we have seen when the pump price of fuel was increased, and that will have ripple effect across the Nigerian economy with higher cost of living. For those of us that take public transport, we would have noticed that immediately the pump price went up. Some transporters were asking for something higher. And it's not just going to affect transportation, it's going to affect all sectors of the economy that use energy. Manufacturers will also be affected, and that will be higher cost of items for Nigerians. So that will increase the inflation. I know the inflation is relatively high. The ideal for Nigeria, as projected by the macroeconomic authority, should be between 6 to 9%. We're doing way higher than that. And the global best practice is even between 1 to 3%. So with the increase in crude oil or even the pump price of fuel, that will fuel inflation even more. But thankfully, with the ceasefire, we are hopeful that it will hold, the ceasefire will hold, and everything will go back to normal. And then the downward trend that we've seen in inflation will continue.
Do you think Nigeria is doing enough to insulate the economy from external shocks?
Let's just be honest with ourselves. As patriots, we have to tell ourselves the truth. We should not be delusional. We are not in enough. And the sad thing is, this has been a problem for a long time. We only pay lip service to diversification. But when it comes to actually doing the work, when it comes to getting our hands dirty, we are doing next to nothing. Our economy, particularly when it comes to revenue, when it comes to foreign exchange earnings, our economy is largely dependent on shocks, on crude oil. And then when the shocks around crude oil come, they really distort the Nigerian economy. In terms of contribution, crude oil to GDP is next to nothing. It's negligible. It's less than 10%. So GDP-wise, Nigeria's economy is highly diversified. But when it comes to revenue, foreign exchange earnings, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and we're not really insulated from shocks like this. And in the foreseeable future, certainly, that will be our predicament.
Before we let you go, are there opportunities in all of this, for instance, in local refining or alternative trade alliances?
Of course, there is. Because of these shocks, I think we need to look inwards. We need to attract more investments into the production of crude oil. And if we can produce everything domestically and we can trade it domestically, we have local refining now with Dangote and others are coming on board. We subject ourselves less to international forces. So I think if we can do that, I think that should help in fixing a lot of things around the Nigerian economy.
Right, Dr. Samson Galadima, we appreciate your time with us on Business Express this morning.